Ja, hallo Leute, wir sind hier heute in Bremen im wunderschönen Bürgerpark, im Parkhotel. Anthrax residieren hier heute. Und wir haben uns gedacht, das ist doch eine super Gelegenheit, um mal eine kleine Diskografie-Besprechung mit den Herrn Scott Ian zu machen. So Scott, your new album is called Worship Music?
Yes, Worship Music.
I think it's time to worship your music now.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna talk a little bit about your albums. So first one would be Fistful of Metal. What comes to your mind?
Wow. Fistful of Metal. Danny Lilker and I founded Anthrax, and a lot of the songs on that record, you know, were co-written between Danny and I and the original singer, Neil Turbin. And it was just amazing to us that we were able to sign a record deal and we were going to make an album. Like, it was just incredible with the feeling of, like, we were kids, you know. I was 19 years old when we went in the studio to make that record. So it just was an overall feeling of excitement. I think a lot of the songs are great. I hate the mix on that album. I hate the mix. The rhythm guitars are too low. You can't hear the guitars. They should have been louder.
Okay. So next one is Spreading the Disease.
Pretty much excited that we were getting to make our second record because we didn't even know if we would ever make it past our first album as a band, especially since we did our first tour of the United States in January of '84, and then we fired Neil Turbin, which at the time, of course, we didn't know was going to be the start of many singers in Anthrax. So we were actually in the studio. We were already recording this record. We had most of this album was already written, you know, in 1984. We had most of this stuff written, and we were in the studio recording with no singer. It was just me and Charlie and Frankie and Danny Spitz. And we didn't know what we were going to do. And we were actually to the point where if we didn't find a singer, like within the next week, me and Frankie were going to be the singers of Anthrax. It was going to be like Kiss. Like, Frankie was going to be the Paul Stanley guy, and I was going to be the Gene Simmons guy. So he would be like the good singer, and I would be the guy that yelled. And that was the plan. And then Carl Kennedy, who was the producer, he found Joey Belladonna. He had seen Joey play in a band and somehow was able to get his phone number and called him, and we invited Joey to the studio, and 2 days later he was the singer of Anthrax. And it's a good thing because if it was me and Frankie, I don't think we ever would have made it past Spreading the Disease.
Okay. Then the third one, the Make It or Break It album, Among the Living.
Yeah, definitely. By the time Among the Living came out, there was a pretty big audience for this new music, you know, thrash metal or speed metal. So it was just really great timing, you know. We had been a band now for 3 albums. It was Joey's second album, so Joey was just felt more comfortable and was fitting more into the band. And we were really, I think, at that point in time, we were at our peak as songwriters for that type of music. And I just think the songs speak for themselves. I mean, Among the Living, Caught in a Mosh, Indians, I Am the Law, NFL, Skeleton in the Closet. I mean, almost every song on the record are songs that we still play and would play in the set now. I think they all hold up today as well as they did 20 years ago. And like I said, I just think the perfect record at the perfect time.
So yeah, then we come to a record, State of Euphoria. I think many of the songs didn't hold that good up as Among the Living did.
It's my least favorite Anthrax album. State of Euphoria, and I'll tell you why. We just rushed. We rushed it. We already knew in the summer of '88 we had dates coming with Iron Maiden in Europe playing Monsters of Rock, and then we knew coming later in the year we were going to be supporting Ozzy Osbourne in the States, and we had to have the record finished. And I would say 5 of the songs on that record just they're not finished. We rushed. We should have spent another 4 months writing and finishing those songs and really working on it. But we were told we had these deadlines, and we listened. And what's crazy is, creatively, it's my least favorite Anthrax record. But commercially and from a success point of view, it was fucking massive, you know. I mean, the record was huge for us. Huge. The touring was amazing. We had gold records in all different countries, and it was an amazing time for us commercially. But creatively, I don't like the record at all. The only songs that hold up for me, besides Antisocial, which of course is a cover song, but I think Be All End All is a really good song.
That's cool.
I think Now It's Dark is a good song. And I think that's about as far as I'll go. I just feel like the rest of the album it's not finished. And I know it's not because I was there. We didn't finish it. We rushed it. We really rushed it. And that's a mistake that we learned from, because now we'll get to the next album.
Yeah, which is Persistence of Time.
And pretty much named that because we were so frustrated with what we felt was a mistake by rushing State of Euphoria. So now we're making Persistence of Time, and we're the biggest we've ever been. You know, we have 4 gold albums now in the States, and we're playing big headlining tours, and we have big stages, and you know, we felt like we had made it, you know, and now we felt like we were really in control. So when management or record companies were telling us, you need to do this, you need to do this, we said, no, we're going to take our time, and we don't care how long it takes to write this album or record it. We're not putting this album out until we're done and we're happy with it. And that's why there's a lot of time theme, I think, on this record, because I just think we were pretty pissed off about having to rush State of Euphoria. Persistence of Time, I could say, musically, 100% happy with. I think musically, it's a fucking great album. I think if you listen to that album and ignore the vocals, but listen to the music on that record, and you'll already see where Anthrax musically was going on Sound of White Noise. You could hear the change already on that record. The thing that didn't change was Joey. Joey was still singing like it was Spreading the Disease and Among the Living. So musically, we're going somewhere else, and Joey was like staying back here, and we worked really, really, really hard to try and get him to kind of evolve with us, and he either couldn't or he wouldn't. But that's my only frustration on that album, is when I listen to it, I feel like I know where I wanted the vocals to be and what I wanted the vocals to sound like, but they just sound like the same Joey vocals from 3 years earlier. And
so yeah, next one was a kind of intermezzo, Attack of the Killer Bees.
Yeah, the reason for this record was basically because of the song we did with Public Enemy. We did Bring the Noise, and when we realized that we had something very special, we just needed to figure out a way to put it out. And so the Killer Bees EP, I guess you could call it, was the way to release Bring the Noise. And yeah, I mean, Bring the Noise I think is amazing. And then the rest of the stuff on there, we just tried to put enough material and stuff together, and we sold it, I believe, for a cheaper price at the time. So at least it would be value, you know, for the fans who wanted to buy it. They would get good value for their money. But this was also the last, obviously the last thing that Joey would be recorded on. And if you go, if I'm not mistaken, if I go back and I look at the track listing on this, if you maybe back then people may not have read into it too much, but if you go back and you look at this, I'm singing on a lot of this stuff. Yeah. There's like, it's almost like we already knew. We already knew that we were going to make a change. We didn't know we were getting John Bush yet, but we knew that if we didn't change singers, it was going to be the end of Anthrax, because we couldn't go any further creatively after Persistence of Time. But when you look through these songs, you know, other than the live stuff, Joey's not singing on a lot of this. You know what I mean? So I think it was very telling at the time of like where we were going.